Aha. I don't know how long you've been waiting, but I'm always sure that when it comes to the UCL, we all wait for it because we know what to expect. Lots of interesting game, lots of actions, and basically we always spoiled for choice because there are so many games you would like to watch, but by the end of the day you end up watching a few of them because you know that maybe three games you are interested in are playing at the same time. What are you going to do? You have to stick with one. So we all have to make that tough choice whenever Champions League is on, especially at this stage of the competition where basically every team is up there playing. But I'm just quickly going to highlight a few of the games that piques my interest, especially at this stage in the competition. And being someone that is fully invested in the Premier League game, of course, there is going to be a Premier League bias. If Arsenal is playing, I would most likely be watching Arsenal instead of a game that Barcelona is playing. Even if Barca plays a more exciting football, I will still end up sticking with Arsenal because these guys are more of a rival to us. So let's quickly run through them. The opening game of the UC of this season is the game between Athletic Club and Arsenal. That game is coming up by 5:45 Nigerian time, and I'll be locked in for it. Of course, if I'm to predict anything, this should be an easy win for Arsenal. No disrespect to Athletic Club, whatever, but we know Arsenal, they should be winning this, especially in this stage of the competition. Their very first game of the UCL this season. Easy win for them. Then the next game, there is actually a lot of them at that time, 8 p.m. We have Juventus up against Borussia Dortmund. We have Madrid against Marseille. And then you have Tottenham Hotspur against Villarreal. I already gave you a disclaimer. That bias is going to come in. So I'm surely going to stick with Spurs against Villarreal. It will be interesting to see what their new manager is going to bring to the table. Of course, we've seen him in a couple of games. We've seen him in his first 4 games of the Premier League, and then in the Super League game where he played against PSG. He actually learned a lot from that particular game. So coming up against Villarreal is going to be a really interesting one to see how it would unfold. Of course, they've already strengthened themselves, talking about Spurs, but you know Villarreal also does well at this stage in the Champions League. That's why it's going to be a lot more interesting to see how this particular one would unfold. So that makes it 2 games for today, Tuesday. 2 games, starting with Arsenal, ending with Tottenham Hotspur. Then for tomorrow's game, the early kickoffs they have for tomorrow is Olympiacos Paphos and then Slavia Prague. And I'm not interested in any of those games, especially at this stage of the tournament. But the late fixtures they have by 8 p.m. Wow, there are loads of them. Ajax is playing Inter Milan, Bayern Munich, Chelsea. That's going to be super interesting. I'm not even kidding you. It's going to be super interesting, especially because of the things that happened in the transfer window. We understand that Chelsea striker made a move to Bayern Munich. That's talking of Nicolas Jackson. And that transfer came with so much drama. The most dramatic thing that can happen today is him scoring against his former club, Chelsea. Like, it's going to be insane. And I'm almost sure that he's going to celebrate. But aside from the whole Chelsea link up there, if you look on the other side, you also see the likes of Harry Kane, who is basically a Tottenham legend. And he's going to be facing Chelsea today. So he will surely have scores to settle with them. And the most interesting part of it for me, as a Liverpool fan, is Luis Diaz. He made a move to Bayern. He had a very solid start this season. He already have loads of goals, loads of assists, making solid impact from the preseason to the start of the season. So them against Chelsea today is really a game to watch. Seriously, it is a game to look out for. But Liverpool is also playing at that same time. So I'm going to find a way. I have to find a way to stay up to date on that particular game. But the game of the night for me has to be Liverpool against Atletico Madrid. Sadly, in the team talk that we had just yesterday, it was confirmed that Antoine Griezmann won't be coming with Athletic Madrid because of an injury he picked up recently. It's not really a serious injury, but it's also not wise to risk him because the season is just starting. So I understand their decision not to bring him on board. They have a couple of other injuries, and their start to the season is also not that very impressive. But it's also the same with Liverpool because we've not had a solid start to the season, but we've won all our game, which is the best part of it that you can always ask of. We've played 4 games and we've picked up all the available points from that particular game, despite playing very poorly. So in this particular one, it's going to be super interesting to see how it's going to unfold. Of course, there is expectation that Alexander Isak will make his debut today, and we are looking at around 30 minutes if he gets to play in the second half, or maybe 45 minutes if he gets to start the game, because Arne Slot already confirmed it before the game we played in weekend against Burnley. He confirmed that Isak is going to be available for this particular game and he's fit to play 45 minutes. So that expectation is already there. He would surely get some minutes in this game, and a win for Liverpool is all I need. Winning while playing very well is also very important, but it's not at the top of the priority right now. So the final fixture, or the other fixture that still comes up in that same time, is the game between PSG and Atlanta. We know that PSG also had a couple of serious injury concerns, and most of those injuries occurred during the international break, to the point where even their manager is affected by injury crisis. So they should still be able to win their game. I mean, their bench is also fairly decent. Now we talk of the next couple of games that is coming up on Thursday. We have Man City against Napoli, an interesting game, mostly because Kevin De Bruyne, who is basically a Man City legend, he's coming back to face his squad, to face his guys. So yeah, they are traveling back to the Etihad for this particular one. And then we have Newcastle against Barcelona. It will be an away game for Barca, so they are coming home to Newcastle. Although we are hearing information that Yamal won't be available for that particular game. Nonetheless, those 2 games that are lined up for Thursday, I mean, there are other games like Bayern Leverkusen against Copenhagen and a bunch of other games out there. At this very moment, I'm yet to decide on the particular one to watch that day. But as it comes closer, it will likely be between Man City, Napoli, or the one between Newcastle and Barcelona. Yeah, that long wait is finally over, and in just a few hours, we'll get that opening fixture between Arsenal and Athletic Club, and that marks the beginning of the Champions League. So if you are just coming around this channel for the first time, I'll be making my review of most of these games. I mostly review Premier League games, but Champions League is also part of the equation. So let's see what the Champions League season have in store for all of us.